What's up, guys? You already know who it is. This is your boy, Minister Edward.C. Williams Jr., and I'm once again back doing a FAQ, frequently asked questions to a blind guy. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time to this video, I lost my sight in 2015, 90% of my sight. Um, the uh, the incident or accident that happened to me was called central retinal occlusion. um, Still to this day, the doctors do not know where it came from. All they know is that I had two strokes in my arteries that are connected to my retinas, and it left me 90% blind initially. But right now, I have about, if I was to say a percentage, 30 to 35% of sight in my right eye, but my left eye is still blind. Um, Also, if you guys were not to believe that I was visually impaired or blind, um, that's okay, because there are many people who look like me who look like they aren't blind or visually impaired, but are severely visually impaired. But we have learned to adapt and adjust to life with the help of God, and also the help of different organizations out there, and training centers to help people who recently and or have been from birth uh, diagnosed as visually impaired or blind. There are treatment centers out there. There are rehabilitation centers. There are vocational centers out there. There are also organizations and federations out there just for us to help us assimilate into the world and live as normally as we can, which is kind of hard to believe with the things that we're going through today in 2020. Now, on to the frequently asked question. Now, a question that was asked of me is, why do I still believe in God after all of this that happened to me? And I can just straightforwardly say is, I believe God, and I believe in God because I believe that He's real. And the reason why I believe that God is real is because He showed me. And some people may say, "Oh yeah, that's all well and dandy. Does He appear, you know, as an angel? This, that, and the third?" Well, in my instance, God spoke to me, almost as clear as day. Um, and It wasn't until this incident happened to me that I took God's voice and the signals that He was showing me seriously. A lot of you who are going to be watching this video already know who I used to be as a person in the world. A severe alcoholic. I was just in the streets very heavily, partying, hanging with the wrong kind of people. Uh, some who were bad and some who I still love and cherish dearly the relationships that I built with them. And but I just wasn't on the right path in life. And I can honestly say that and admit and take every full blame for everything that I've done in the past as a man living in the world. But now living as a Christian man, I still can accept, and I'll take all full blame for the things that I've done in the past. The reason why I still believe in God is, man, just the fact that when I lost my sight, I'm gonna tell you the story. When I lost my sight, I was at home, you know, getting ready for work. Here it is, about 4 o'clock. I have to be at a meeting spot in downtown Camden by 4:30, 4:45. So I leave the house at 4 o'clock, and I'm just slow strolling it, which I should have never been doing, but thank God I was slow strolling because in this instance, if I wasn't placed where I was at to receive the help that I needed, as far as a person calling the ambulance to get me to the hospital to figure out what's going on with me, who knows what would have happened to me. But I left the house at 4 o'clock, and I was walking, slow strolling, on the other side of the street from my house, and I noticed that my eyes, started to get blurry, which was a normality for me because when I was 7 years old, I suffered an astigmatism from a pencil being a pencil scratching my cornea. So I had astigmatism since I was 7. I wore glasses for a short period of time in high school, but that was it. I just went about life with the sight that I had. I wasn't blind. I had 20/20 vision, but in some instances where my sight would get blurry within my eye, and I would go on from there. So I squinted as usual, and my sight came completely back into focus. So I just went about it without even thinking about it. The next phase was that when my eyes got blurry again, it was totally different. It was like looking at a 3D movie without 3D glasses. You know how the green and red outline, and it's very very blurry, but with the green and red and maybe a tint of blue, just outline of the characters or whatever, or scenery will have you on the TV when you're watching the 3D movie or show, whatever. And I instantly knew something was probably wrong, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I just went about my day, just went about squinting my eyes, and my eyes came back into focus. So I was like, okay, that's nothing. The third phase was my eyesight went out like a curtain would go on a stage show. Very slowly, and the final curtain call is what they call it, and that was the final curtain call for my sight. I squinted. I, tried to blink and try to do anything I thought would help my sight come back into focus, but nothing happened. Mind you, this happened while I was in the middle of the street, a block and a half away from a block and a half away from my house, in the middle of the street. So where I used to live at in Camden, got the shirt on, in Camden, New Jersey, my hood, Pollock, we got a bad rep. The whole Camden had a bad rep at the time, for violence and drug dealing and all that other stuff, So very easily it could have been someone who either hit me with a car because they thought I was crazy, or they could have thought I was drunk, which I had a very high reputation for. Being an alcoholic, I always got drunk. Not a day went by without me having a bottle, and if it did, I didn't do anything that day. My life wasn't complete, or my day wasn't complete without a bottle, unless I went to work or something like that, and then just went right in the house and didn't do anything. But they could have thought I was drunk, or they could have thought I was high. We got a high drug sale rate in Camden, and Camden is known for drugs. When you look at the statistics, and the negative statistics anyway about the city, we're known for violence and drugs. They could have thought I was high, and they could have robbed me. They could have shot me. They could have did anything to me and taken advantage of the state that I was in at the time. But the reason why I believe in God is because I lie to you not. It was almost clear as day. I heard God speak to me and say, "Walk back the way you came." Now, it may sound crazy to tell or to say that I heard a voice to tell me to walk back the other way when I'm 90% blind and it happened instantly. You would think somebody would be frantic and going out of their mind and just, panicking. But I stayed calm even before I heard the voice. And when I heard the voice to say, "Go back the way you came," it even made me more calm. And as I walked back, there was a guy who, he must have knew something was wrong with me. And I didn't even feel any pressure to not tell this person what was going on with me because I was in such a calm state. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't scared. I didn't fear anything. And I told this person, "Look, I can't see at all." And he said, "You're looking right at me." And I said, "Man, I cannot see you. I'm so dead serious." And he believed me. And he went to his aunt's house, which was, I guess right there, and told her to call the ambulance. And the ambulance got to me within like 10 minutes. And you know, the reason why I believe in God is because when I heard that voice, the calm that just came over me, and the courage to just ask somebody, and then the placement of the person that he put there, who could have been anybody, who could have been a person that could have robbed me or shot me or anything like that. He put that person there to help me. So when I get to the hospital and whatever I went through, all these tests, they asked me, do you do any recreational drugs? And I'm like, no. I actually quit weed, quit smoking weed March 2nd of that year, March 2nd of 2015. So I've been 5 years clean from marijuana since March 2nd of 2015. And no, I told them I don't do any recreational drugs. I don't do any cocaine. I don't do heroin. I don't do crack. I don't do pills. I don't do any of that. I don't do it frequently. I don't do it at all. So they kept on asking me, and they kept on asking me, and I'm like, why? And I'm getting annoyed. I'm like, why are you keep on asking me this question? And he said, well, sir, the reason why we keep on asking you is because your pupils are dilated and they look like cup saucers. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I really, really knew that the worst had happened to my eyesight, But, just sitting in the room, the private room that they had me in emergency for 5 hours. And then, the doctors coming in and giving their prognosis and, telling me about my left eye is always going to be blind. I'm going to be blind in my left eye forever. And then they told me my right eye, before it gets better, it's going to get worse. But funny how things happen, because when I asked these doctors, are you sure that anything better can happen for any of my eyes? And they said no. And very, 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 very funny, and miraculously, I gained a little more sight in my right eye. Some may say, oh, that's just a coincidence, or you're lucky. Nah, man, I'm blessed, because only God, not science, can put things in place where you can gain something that the world says you're not supposed to have. But whatever God says is for you, it is for you. Honestly, I wanted my sight back. I did. And the first night I spent at the hospital, after spending 5 hours in that emergency room and them telling me my prognosis and everything. I told God, I don't want to live after this. I don't want to live after this. What am I going to do? This is as unfair as it can get. I don't deserve this, quote unquote. I deserve any punishment God gave me because I wasn't living in His will. But quote unquote, I don't deserve this. This isn't fair. I don't want to wake up the next morning. I don't want to wake up from this. I was really ready to die right then and there. And I said, God, if you wake me up, I'm gonna make sure I try my hardest to put a smile on everybody's face that I meet. And for some reason, God woke me up the next morning. And as corny as I am, I do not fail at trying to make people smile or make people laugh, because I believe that is one thing that God has given me, whether it's a gift or whether it's just something that I have. But, my thing is to put a smile on everybody's face, as well as ministering the word to the people who have lost faith, who don't have faith at all or in anything. That's my purpose. And I believe that's what God still has me here for. Because I think about it sometimes and I ask myself, why else would He have me here? Because is it torture? Is it to show me that you've been a bad boy? Nah. Your life is set on a path for greater if you accept and allow God to work in your life. Your path is greater than what you think it is. Turmoil, 2020, whatever, because things have been worse than 2020. We, as the people living in it who haven't lived past, in past generations, believe that this is the worst thing that could ever happen to America or the world, when it's really not. You've had World War II, you had the Korean War, you had Desert Storm, you had the war in Afghanistan, you had World War I, you had Civil War, you had the Revolutionary War, you had slavery. And going back in time, there was much turmoil going on. Even in the Bible, there was much turmoil going on. And if you read the Bible, it's funny how the Bible goes on and on and on and on and on about giving people chances. Giving people a chance to see what their purpose is in life. And isn't it funny when these people start to realize that God is the one that has all power in His hands and controls destiny, that they tend to die better off? I believe. Now, the real question to the question of why do I still believe in God is, why does it matter that I believe in God? Because guess what? I've heard a lot, and I'm not going to say I made this up on my own, because I read this on the status that I call her my God grandma, Audrey Brown, Sister Audrey Brown. She wrote on the status not too long ago. It was a couple months ago. And I remember this status, and it said, what does it matter if I serve God? Does it hurt you that I serve God? Why can't I serve God? Because guess what? If I'm wrong, then what will happen? Nothing. But if I'm right, guess where I get to go? I go to a place where I get new eyes. I get a new body. My injuries of football, my scars, they all will heal up. And I will rejoice and I will have joy for the rest of my days. I will enjoy a spiritual eternity in joy and happiness. Who wouldn't want that? And let's be honest, a lot of us serve God because of reward, but a lot of us should serve God out of obedience. It is our civil and spiritual duty to serve God and serve the people of God. Because everybody is our children of God because we are all God's children. Simple and plain. There are some, like myself, that we have parents and they tell us to do something and we don't want to do it because we want to do it our way. We see it as being the better way, or y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Oh, that's old school, this, that, and the third. Guess what? The old school way is the reason why they're still alive too. And the reason why these people who are thriving in God, truly thriving in God, because a lot of people are thriving and they think it's God, but it's really not. It's really not. It's really not what God set out for them. It's their own. It's their own ambition that has created that. But when God puts His will incorporates His will into your life, you're going to suffer some things. You're going to suffer a lot of things. But I guarantee you, the last reward is the greatest reward that anybody can receive. Because who answer me this. If hell is real and if heaven is real. If hell is real, who would want to go to hell? And who would want to burn until? Who would want to do that? Who would want to be attacked by diseases and being tormented by demons and just being played around with and just being just tortured until there is no end. Eternity has no ending. I'd rather choose going to heaven and living a life happy every day. And that is the reason why I believe in God. Because He has put a joy in me in this world where there's so much going on. So much hurt and pain, people losing people, cops killing people, racism and political backstabbing and just a bunch of stuff just going on. And we think this is the worst that could happen. This ain't the worst that could happen. If you choose to serve God, all the stuff that happens around you doesn't even matter anymore when you serve God. Serving God serves the purpose. Serving God serves a purpose. And that purpose is to make it in. That purpose is to help others as well as we help ourselves, if not more than we help ourselves. I chose to serve God because I chose not to be selfish anymore. Very selfish. I didn't think I was selfish, but I was very selfish. Thought about how can I make myself great, but not thinking about how I can make God great. How can I make His name greater? How can I affect the lives of people with the name of God? Truly with the name of God. No blasphemy, no using God to win over people and for my own for my own purpose or whatever. No, truly affecting people's lives with God and His word. That's my purpose. That's why I believe in God. That's why I do what I do. That's why I turn my life over. Because I believe. I really, truly believe. And you start to think about the things that you have done in life, and you say sometimes, what could I have done better? Incorporated God. And I ain't trying to bash nobody over the head, because you gonna believe what you want to believe, and that's all fine and dandy. You're gonna believe what you want to believe. I'm just here to help you. And if you don't believe, the dust will be shaken off my feet, because we as the true ministers of the Word of God, whoever they may be across the world, we will get our last reward. And mind you, I hate this saying, but I'm not perfect. I'm not human. I know the difference between right and wrong, though. But we all make mistakes. Do not let your next mistake be your last mistake, and you haven't turned your life fully over to Christ. Because he's the one that makes the ultimate decision at the end of the day. Can you imagine being in the house watching TV and you hear a sound louder than anything that is happening in the streets? Anything is happening on your TV? Almost a blinding sound. And you see Jesus descending from the clouds, ready to come back and get his people. But then can you imagine being left behind when that happens? I want to be left behind. That's why I'm very sorry for any mistake that I have made, and I will be godly sorry for any mistake that I will make, because I don't want to be that person left behind. I don't want to be that person left behind, because I was the type of person. I used to play. Well, I still play drums. I'm still a musician. You know, that is my profession. I'm a musician. I used to go to church high and drunk from the night before. Liquor just pouring out of my pores. The smell just very pungent. And then guess what I did after church? I do it all over again. No recognition to the deity of God. Just there for a paycheck. Really wanted a demon, like something. There was a spirit in me for me to go into the church thinking it was okay to be high and drunk, playing spirits out into the congregation. I've probably harmed people by playing the drums inebriated. I've probably changed people's minds that have visited these churches, and they see me, they like, yo, how he up there? He smoking, he drink every day, so it must be okay for me. I have to deal with that. I have to take all the blame for the people I've affected with my insolence. And will God judge me for that? There's a price that we all have to pay. And I believe one of my prices that I had to pay was him taking my sight, because he had to get my attention. And he got my attention fully. But I had to make a decision whether or not the words that I heard when I was younger growing up in church from our great apostle Joseph Scott and Mother Marie Scott, and the great words of my father, Bishop Edward.C. Williams Sr., and the great words of my mother, Overseer Alice Williams, and a lot of the great ministers that have come through my life, or that I have heard, in my lifetime, speak about the things that we must do in order to get it right. What kind of person would I have been to disregard those things. You know, so I believe in God not only from my own personal experience, but I believe God from what I've seen him do with other people. I've seen many miracles happen. There used to be a man that used to go to St. James Apostolic Temple, and his name was Elder Hodgin. And Elder Hodgin, now I might not have this statistic right, but this is what it was. This man had maybe 3 strokes, 4 strokes, and about maybe 5 heart attacks. And this man was preaching the word of God as if he was physically okay, and he wasn't. The sign of the stroke was in his arm. I can't remember if it was a left or right arm. The sign of the stroke was on him, and in his voice, he had a very raspy voice, but it was very profound. When you heard him talk, you listened, because when he spoke, he grasped your attention. And I used to listen to that man, and as of lately, I think about him a lot, because I'm like, man, he was the sign before the sign. He was standing up for what he could have thrown God away for. He could have just shunned God off for him having those many ailments and conditions, but he still continued to serve God. And if we don't take our lessons from people who have been through the dirt and the mud and just been through it all, and they serve God continuously, we got to take lessons from people like that. The true believers that really worship God truly through the midst of it all. We got to take examples from that, because they are how people would say it, they're angels. They're not idols, but they're statues of honor. And we have to look at these people to say, wow, God, you are amazing. You can do whatever you want to do. And this is not to pat myself on the back, but what God has done for me and what I look like now and what I've become now as a man of God, and the family that he's given me, and the things that he's given me in this life, and the things that are more to come, we'll be stupid not to serve God. Be stupid not to serve God. So the reason why I serve God is because I believe. I believe. I believe. If you ain't got it right now, get it right. And I pass no judgment to no man, no woman whatsoever, because who am I to judge? But I believe. And if you don't, I'm not even going to say it's okay. If you don't, then it is what it is. But I believe. I believe. I love you guys. Y'all can send me questions in the inbox. You can even text me. Just stay tuned for more videos. And I love you guys. God bless you.